Good afternoon. It's nice to see everybody. Welcome to week 5, Draft Dodgers. We are here along with co-host Terry and our special guest. Big applause for Tex. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for being on. I appreciate the bling. It means a lot to me.
Hey, it's great to be on the podcast. This is something that's new this year, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I got a little glimpse of some behind the scenes with intervention. Got to know them a little bit better. It's a lot of leagues, and Truth was kind of insightful. Very focused on his rival, but we go head to head this week, so we can settle it on the field.
What's your current record?
It's 4-0. I got off to that fourth win. I thought it was going to be a tight one when Mahomes started going nuts. It got me a little nervous, but came from behind, got a medal, and move on.
You're currently leading the medal rounds, aren't you?
Yes. I think by quite a wide margin too. You know, that's something I think is really important in this league. It doesn't get enough attention, is the attention to participation and in the medal counts and things of that nature. It's I think it's a critical component that gets overlooked.
How many mock drafts did you do? Did you get
50, just to kind of chalk that one up. I was pretty close. So at the end, I just ran off like 4 or 5 just to get over the number and get that medal.
Do you only mock on Yahoo?
Yeah, I only mock on Yahoo. I see all these other screenshots and stuff, and it's like, really? What are you trying to do? I guess you can mock on football guys. But no, the mocks, they're okay, but, nobody's drafting in 2-point PPR, QB heavy league. It's but I mean, it allows you to kind of move your board around, try different things. Coming into the draft, though, I knew exactly what I wanted to do in rounds 1 and likely 2.
Rounds 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going back to something else you said. QB heavy leagues? What are you talking? Is this a QB heavy league?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, outside of a super flex, I think this format with the point per completion, and it's just so damn hard to win with the David Carrs, the kid up in Minnesota, even the Staffords. I mean, it's just difficult. So yeah, I think it's always has been too.
If this was a super flex, how many quarterbacks would you draft, Eric?
I think 4 was a good number. I settled on 4. I mean, I made a claim for Tua. It would have put me at 5. But yeah, I think 4. I was able to get out of one last week, which was good because Dak being on the out list just really helped my roster. But he came back today, and then they put him back on the out list, so I was able to not shift that IR spot around.
Whoa. So wait, you're saying that Dak is back and then not back? Is this a Cowboys thing or is this a Yahoo thing?
It's a Yahoo thing. They had him out, and then at some point today they put him not out. So you have to move him off of IR, and then by the time I logged back in again, he was on the out again. So that helps. It opens up.
That's with anybody that's in IR. So if you're eligible for the IR spot, I mean, we might as well just hash it out now because Truth said something on there. It really doesn't matter. Everybody knows it was Chad that had more in his IR spot with points. So what happens is you can put somebody in your IR spot, and if they end up playing, if they're questionable or whatever, if they end up playing, Yahoo doesn't allow you to make a move. So you can't make a lineup change. You can't make a waiver transaction. You can't do anything until you take that person out of IR spot and correct it because now they are not out. They're not on PUP. They're not on IR. They're questionable or even doubtful. They can't be in there. So what really has to happen, what Truth says is like, hey, look, Yahoo might allow this. It's a glitch in their system, but I prefer you guys don't have anybody in here. I don't really know how you police that. Yahoo kind of self-polices it by locking you out. I mean, they're not going to force you to drop somebody. they're not going to force you. You know what I mean? So if Chad made that decision, I'm not going to make any roster moves. I'm going to ride this week out with more in my IR spot. That's fine by me. The commissioner doesn't like it, but
You're breaking some news. We were talking earlier. I didn't know that was Chad that he was referring to.
I thought it was me.
Well, I didn't know it was Chad. I went back and looked at everybody's team. I'm like, who's doing this? Whatever. I saw it was Chad. But the interesting was, big discovery for me was Truth had somebody in his IR spot with points also, which was Cordero Patterson. So I'm like, how did Cordero Patterson was never on IR? So he must have moved him there after the game was played. Now that's a different take on the free square that I never knew was available. So turns out, if you have, because I tried it on my phone with Javonte Williams, it wouldn't work. But he was in a different Yahoo league. He was in my starting lineup. So if you have or if you have somebody on your bench that is the rare situation where they're out before the week's over, so you got to be hurt pretty bad for them to come and say, okay, this dude's on IR, and you got to know he's coming back. So that was the case with Patterson. So it allowed Truth,
not just Patterson, but Shaq Leonard too.
Yeah, so it allowed
I think he got
to move those guys into the IR spot after their games were already played. They went and played that game. They got hurt in the game. They designated him out on Monday morning. He gets 2 free squares on Monday. I never saw that one before.
That's new to me too. I hadn't seen that. But anyway, to wrap this up, they've had a big zero on Dak since that injury's been pretty serious. So,
what do you think about Jerry Jones? Just putting the pressure.
I think
on
he's kept this team
come back.
He's kept this team afloat. Without his optimism, I don't know where this team would be. 0-4, 1-3.
What about Fat Mike?
He's doing a good job. You give him some credit. Yeah, same thing. I mean, I thought the penalties were down last week. I mean, they're winning games with the backup quarterback. I mean, he's been. I saw he's played most of his games without Dak as his quarterback. So and he's winning it. We'll see. His thing is he's got to win a Super Bowl. He's got to have some success in the playoffs. Otherwise, Sean Payton's rolling into town.
So he won a Super Bowl with the Packers. I'm not sure if you realized. So
I did.
Let me ask you a question. I know, Terry, you got some questions. The first one for me, the hard-hitting questions that people want to know. Are you and Dog going to the game? It's Dallas versus Rams in L.A. This seems like a no-brainer. You guys got to be going to the game, getting the limo, doing all this stuff.
I wish. I haven't been to a game, and I would love to see that stadium. But no, I'm not doing that this weekend.
Not invited, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, it'd be easy enough to go to the game, but I just didn't prioritize it, especially after the injury. No, I'm comfortable. I haven't been to a Cowboy game in a while, but I'm comfortable not going to games.
I'm going to call you half a fan. I know, Terry, you got a ton of them, but so I'm going to sit back a little bit and let you take the seat here. But I have some stats, some other questions. So go ahead, Terry. You're in.
Wait, I just real quick made me think. Are you gonna root for Cooper Kupp heavy this week then against your Cowboys?
Yeah, I haven't even thought about that. I kind of got through last night. Sweated that one out. But I haven't really turned my attention. I haven't turned my attention to this week. I've got waivers to deal with tonight. It's a pretty juicy wire.
Of course it is.
And then we'll get on to next week. He's going against that lockdown corner in Dallas. So, who knows? And I play the Truth too. And have you seen his team? It's the best in the league. Look at his 4 receivers. It's Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuels, Christian Kirk, and he's got another one too. Waddle. Yeah. And then he's not even hurt. And he's not even hurt in running back.
So, Statmaster, Truth had the most receiving yards all season last week with 491 combined total receiving yards. That's a pretty good receiving group.
Yeah, that top 4 is amazing. And now he's got the 2-time MVP under center. He's got Fournette in the backfield. He's solid up his defense. So, yeah, I think he's the team to beat right now.
He said it last week.
That trade doesn't make sense.
I got out of the Packer business. I made another one today. Kind of getting out of that Packer business, but no, now he goes from a B level 500 quarterback to the 2-time MVP.
He didn't even
I mean,
start him.
that's a monster upgrade.
He did not start Rodgers, so what's the point? Why get rid of Lockett for a bench quarterback?
He can't play Lockett. Lockett's not going to break into that top 4.
No,
Right? I mean, look at Waddle, Debo, Christian Kirk was a pick of the draft, really.
I thought Patterson was till he went out, but yeah, he's got.
Yeah, I did too. That's right. He got that too. Shit, man, I got my hands full. So 4-1, not a bad start. I'll take it, and we'll move on to week 6.
No, you won't. You'll be hitting slack and pissed off and
sweating.
Do you have any? Yeah. Go ahead, Terry.
So,
you're.
I'm curious what your thoughts are on Dak versus Cooper Rush overall.
I think Cooper's much more accurate as a passer. I think he handles the game a lot better. It just looks different, right? It looks like he got a professional quarterback under center. Dak's game was especially his rookie year, was the running ability. To be able to wiggle and waggle and score touchdowns on the ground. Since the ankle injury, that's been gone, and he's just not an accurate quarterback. So I don't know that you can win in this league without precision and accuracy and touch. And you look at some of those throws that Rush was making; it's just on the button every time. So the big test is going to be this weekend. If he wins in LA, it's on. It's Wally Pipp is here.
He's never lost a game that he started, right?
Never lost a game. It's crazy.
That Ram offense looks pathetic, though, doesn't it?
Well, I saw something today that Cooper Kupp has more catches than the Bears quarterback has completions.
That's
So it's wild. So it's all Cooper Kupp, and then they were mixing in that tight end. But I think they really got dinged on that offensive line, and this Cowboys defense is for real. It's pretty ferocious. So
and they're racing.
They have a chance if Cooper marches into and beats the defending Super Bowl champions. I mean, yeah.
Eric,
bring up the anointing oil.
You are historically underrate good quarterbacks that play for the Cowboys. I mean, I was at a work party and they had beanbags set up, and they had one of the numbers on the boards was Romo. So that's another Cowboy fan favorite that you never liked Romo. What is your story about how he became a Cowboy? Don't you have some story about how Romo?
No. He was the fifth. He was the fifth quarterback in camp, maybe the fourth. And then Quincy did some coke during training camp. They cut him. He moved up to third string, made the team. But it's playoff wins. That's what you got to win. He was one playoff win. Dak has one playoff win. Dak's been the number one seed in the NFC twice. He's been a 2 seed, 3 seed, 5 seed, but he can't win a playoff game. And Romo won one game in that 10-year decade with some really good teams. Number one seed, he goes off to Cancun with Jessica Simpson the night before, the Seattle slip. Just get the fucking hold down. And you can't even do that. I mean, come on. Some of the biggest choke jobs in the history of the Cowboys. So, I was glad to see him go. I was happy for Dak, but, I don't think Dak's the one to take us to the promised land. Hopefully Cooper Rush is.
Yeah, we don't have to drill in on the quarterbacks of the Cowboys all night, but you said it was blamed on the Giants somehow, I thought. Getting over there, some Romo story.
Parcells planted, they made the mistake of hiring Parcells. It was, a giant through and through. And he hired all his guys. And, I do think he was a plant by Bill Parcells to keep the Cowboys down for a decade and let it be known that the Giants won 2 Super Bowls during that tenure. Coincidence? Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, there was something that came up last week, and those Truth and Ron were laughing at it, but, I know it's true because I heard it from Angelique herself, but do you have anything to say? Have you made offerings to the Night Schwartz by placing chocolate and nativity sets at your in-laws' house in the holidays?
After all these years, I think I'm reserving that closer to the playoff time. But yes, I've been known to do that. I have a stash. I kind of have a sense. But you know what? To be honest with you, the Night Schwartz hasn't been around for 2 or 3 years. I mean, stat corrections have just gone away. I don't know if the crews are getting better. The data in real time has changed, but man, there used to be some wild swings if you recall. I mean, 4, 5, 6 points a night. You'd wake up every Thursday after a close game, and games would be changed. But sure, yeah, I believe that that's part of it. Yeah.
I'm rooting for 10 points this week if that's possible.
I've seen 6, but it really hasn't happened in the last 2 or 3 years, I've noticed. So we'll see. Keep an eye on it.
One thing I really wanted to get into with you, Eric, is something I think is very interesting, and you've been kind of delving into a little bit this year. At the end of last year, you noticed that if you go on the computer, you can look at waiver claims, so you can see who in the league put in for each player. So you might see, hey, this guy had, Tua had 4 guys put in for him, and you can see who's getting who. What I'm interested to find out from you is, what are you learning? Are there certain tendencies some owners have, and are there owners that get players more often, people that miss out on people more often? What are you learning, really digging into that?
Yeah, I discovered that just by happenstance last year. So under recent transactions, there's waiver offers. I think it must have popped up. Maybe it was there. I've never seen it before. But it shows who. Where it really hit me is when I dropped my kicker, and then I noticed that everybody was putting in for my Tyler Basshole, and I'm like, what the hell? You guys are railing on me for kickers, and now you all put in claim for them. But it's interesting. But I do think the waivers have changed some. I do think the dumpster diving has proven to be useless, because you can go in and lock all those guys, and now you're up at 4 a.m. So at some point, because people were not putting waiver claims in on defensive guys, you could stay up at midnight and get that top defensive priority. But now this year, week 1, everybody just went defense. It was crazy, and it's kind of continued. So I've been able to add a few offensive assets that I didn't think would be there on waivers. But yeah, it's interesting to see. I know, Terry, last year you kind of had like 7 safeties at the beginning of the year, and then kind of slowly rebuilt it, one waiver claim at a time. Puss is always notorious for grabbing defensive guy. But yeah, it tells you kind of what people are after. I think the biggest one so far this year was everybody put in for Tua. He was a very hot commodity, which kind of goes back to my point about it being a quarterback-driven league.
It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what you learn going forward. Different tendencies. It's got to give you. In this league, even the slightest advantage is worth gaining. If you know that you better put the quarterback ahead of the defensive back, or the defensive back ahead of the linebacker in a certain week, then you might get all the guys that you are reaching out for.
Yeah, it was interesting. I kind of liked your talk about the 4-3 versus the 2-5 or the 5-2. But yeah, it hasn't changed my strategy. I just find it kind of interesting to see what people are after.
Did you like Bobby Wagner hitting the fan?
Oh, that was fantastic. This guy just doesn't stop to amaze me. I don't know what I'm ever going to do if he ever leaves. But that was a good one. And then put the game in another 18-point, solid, productive effort. I mean, yeah, one of my all-time guys. I mean, at this point, he may be passing Kuechly, but I want to win one more for Wag so bad. So bad.
It's a number change for him this year, isn't it?
It looks different. Yeah, I think it is.
45 instead of 54.
If you were going to be, you hard to put yourself in the mindset of somebody that's going to run out on the field shooting pink smoke in the air. But if you were going to do that, why would you run past the linebacker sideline of the defending frustrated team on the side? Right past the linebackers, waving pink smoke in their face. What a dumb move.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Wagner if that's it. Absolutely, you're right. Very, very astute observation, Terry. Very, very astute. You're tempting. Shit coming out of his ass. Right out of his ass. He's like, I don't know if it's a gender reveal party or whatever that shit was, but yeah, I don't know.
At least he didn't.
Hey,
he could have ran past the defensive line. That might have been worse for him. A frustrated defensive Rams line, but Wagner was pretty bad. He hit him pretty good. He got him good. Yeah.
I got a question for you. And it's something we touched on a little bit earlier. Does benching work? Does this benching work? Because I'm trying it this week. I'm just trying to see what strategies I can use when when you bench your team, starting Monday you've lost, so you're trying to set a tone for your team, and you bench them Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't think I have any Thursday, so it'll go all the way through Saturday. What kind of tips do you have for me, and do you find that to work?
I do. I think it sends a message to your team. They got to earn your spot. You're right. We're not dicking around here. Everybody's equal. You got to earn your spot. So, then I always will start with, okay, who's the leader of my team? He goes in first, right? Wagner's the first person on my board. Now who's next up? Who's going to earn that spot? So I like the strategy. I noticed that. I mentioned that when we logged on in the pregame I think it's time. We're serious here.
And to your point, I didn't bench T. Higgins, the only person who's actually earned their spot, and my defense. My defense has been fine. It's my offense who's showed up week after week, very weak.
And did you move T. Higgins to the number one wide receiver spot?
I did. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I like. I was playing intervention this week, and he had Stephon Diggs in the second flex spot. I'm going, fuck, if I'm Stephon Diggs,
yeah,
I'm the wide receiver one here. I'm the wide receiver one.
That's right. That's why you lose. You lose for stupid shit like that. Absolutely.
Yeah, you lose the locker room completely. I mean, you're right. Higgins has produced. You're my wide receiver one. Now everybody else get in line, and we'll see what it does. But I like it.
Well, you got Thielen
still in there
too, Ron.
Well, he had a great week too.
No, he stuck on a Thielen is dead to me. Kelsey is fine and Higgins is fine, but everything else is a poop show that I'm ready to just fire.
Do you think that next year, Ron, you would switch it up a little bit, and instead of taking all the number 2 wide receivers, take all the backup running backs? Do you think that might help you?
That's funny. That's
Bam! There's the best drop of the podcast. Yeah.
You're funny.
Too much there.
So this is what I would do because you need people. You need that one person who's going to win you your week. Interesting. I'm going to save it for next week. But as a Puss, I looked at Puss's historical records.
Yeah.
And he's got an interesting loss in his record book with a 70 burger on his, he got 70 points from one guy and lost.
Wow.
It was interesting. I know. The stat master.
Usually when you kind of get that number, like the new team did today, Chicago's finest got monster. What was it? Freiermuth? No, it was the Detroit tight end. When you post something like that, I mean, you went weak.
Get people, Terry. What I would do different. Get people who are going to win you weeks. Doesn't matter. Just right off the bat, just get Tyreek Hill or somebody who 3 weeks in a row sucks, but 1 week's going to get you 120 points. I don't know. Whatever I'm doing is wrong. I'm going to jam my head into a wall, and hopefully it works.
Well, the Allen Robinson thing really sets you back, especially when you take him ahead of Mahomes and A.J. Brown and, wide variety of receivers. But you got to go back and look at your and I did a lot of reflection after these 2 years of not bringing home a title. That the COVID thing really, really did a number on me, and went back and looked at strategies. I didn't take defense this year. I waited, and looked at that. So, I mean, I guess you're going to go back to your draft board, analyze it, and try to be better next time. But, I mean, there's still hope at 1-3, but you got to be Puss this weekend. Otherwise, it's kind of like Desperation City, and then they might ban you from making trades because you're already out of contention.
Oh, he's not mad.
Only with you. That's only who I'm going to ban you. So the only good thing is there's so many others that are at 1-3 that it helps. It really does.
Real quick,
Okay.
I hope we don't lose this audio because I think this has been a good show. But is this video all frozen up on your guys' end or just mine?
You disappeared for a minute there, but you're back. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think most people listen to it. I would think.
Okay. So, Eric, you asked me for.
I have a. Oh, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, Eric asked me for a correction. He wanted to know how far the league went back. We talked about it with Truth, and he said there was some debate in California. So I looked at the trophy. I got it off my refrigerator, pulled it down, looked at it, and the first year was '05. So Chad won in '05, and I can give you just a quick rundown. It was Chad in '05.
So 2000. So I think Truth said he was like him and Chad have been playing Bucks and Ducks. Wow.
So it was
So
this is the 18th
2005.
year.
So we're 17 years in this league. Yeah, I think that's where Truth.
This is the
He said
18th
17 years that Chad and him have been playing together since the
So this
merger.
is year 18 on the trophy.
Yeah.
A merger.
No, so we had a league going on the West Coast, and Chad and Truth had a league going on the East Coast. And it came together. So this is year 18. Wow. Okay, that's what I thought. That was more in line with what I had.
So we got,
And I know they had played together years before.
so we got Chad, Wes Collins, Eric Nielsen, Scott Miller won, then Brian, Chad, Brian, Brendan Hunt, Eric, Mark, Ron, Al, Eric, Clayton, Ron, me. So Eric, you're the title leader with 3. Truth, Chad, and Ron all have 2.
Chad's got a
Chad's
second.
got a
What was
Chad
his
won in
years?
'05 and 2010.
Okay. Really? Huh.
So
Didn't know that.
so
Who's won a title sooner, me or Eric?
excuse me.
The latest title.
You won in 20. You won in 20.
Does Tex have the
You're
latest?
2018.
Well, he also won in 2017 too. I mean, that's still my toughest
Ron won in
feat.
2016.
Can we talk about that at all?
2016. God, yeah, that's right. It was the year of my dad's death, and so that's 6 years ago. Golly, yeah.
So let me ask you: when you have, I would say Monday Night Football, Zeke going, they already secured the playoff spot. Dallas did. They didn't have to play Zeke, but he rips off like a 40-yard touchdown to start the game. And
What do you mean they didn't have to play him? Their rookie rushing record was in sight. You know, he had 80 yards at half. You stay hot, and what did Jason Garrett do? Took his foot off the gas. You know, a game and a half before the number 1 seed, and they never got it back again. I think you just maul people and you keep the foot on the gas and you go because you already got a week with the bye. It was just an awful coaching move. But I made some errors there along the way. I went back to Hill and Emmanuel Sanders on Denver, and I got a 60 burger with Odell on Thursday. It looked like everything was going golden, and also Mike Zimmer, fucking Mike Zimmer,
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah. Hey, Terrence Newman. Hey, Mike Zimmer, forget this. I got Jordy Nelson. Forget the game plan. It's just that was a tough one. I that's the one I wish I had back. I lost to Nielsen early on. What year did he win that one?
Nielsen won. Hey Eric.
Yeah.
Eric,
He
you
kind of
always
blew
ask
me
a
out.
question every time. Do you think it's funny? I think it's like just a little jab at the people that never won before. But whenever we get together, you always like to ask, "Who's the best to never do it?" But I'm looking at the list, and we've all
Yeah. Oh, I think I got 3. I think you have to. I mean, you got to go by the numbers, right? If we're being objective. I mean, I thought Ron's season was one for the ages. I think you hit a home run last year. The best team I ever saw was Dogs, and it's I knocked them off on this just most memorable Monday night where Kuechly outscored Breeze, and but that team. Absolutely unbelievable. That team had Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Drew Brees, and they were just steamrolling people. And I caught his down week in like the quarterfinals, and that was probably the best team. But we'll see. And right now, when you ask, who's the best team never win a championship, I mean it's down to Drake George, right? I mean, He's been close. He's made the finals. I mean, I don't know that Dave's ever been really close. Looking along the list, the Shiz has won, Interventions won. I don't know what this new chaos thing is, but
Yeah,
Pounds won. Chicago's first in the league, so I mean, I guess it's either it's got to be Dave or George, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the name change though. He's going name change week 4. Chaos. Not sure what that's about.
And it's not like out of a desperation move. So I'd be curious to know the story behind that. Usually, when I go to the name change, I mean, you're floundering. It's,
Yeah.
shaking everything up.
Yeah.
You try the benching like you've done. That doesn't work. You lose again, and then you go to the name change.
Hey, I got something a little different here.
I thought that was going to be my key last year. My team, I got off to that hot start. People don't remember I was the number 1 seed last year. So I was in contention, got off to, and then it just we slowly started going downhill and downhill and downhill. And then comes Coach Dave out of nowhere and, really delivers something special. And he did. Outside of his apartment in Chicago, it's cold. It lit a fire in our ass. I tell you that. And we went on. We kind of finished out number 1 seed, and then, yeah, you know what I really don't like is choosing your opponent in the playoffs. It's just if I could do away with one vote that I've made, it would be that. And if I get the seed this year, I'm just going to play. If I'm 2, I'm taking 7. If I'm 3, I'm taking 6. If I'm 1, it's it's 8. I'm not doing any of this tomfoolery of looking at playoff loss.
I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that for a second.
I should have taken you week 1. So, that's what I should have done. But you get in your head, you overanalyze, you look at different things, projections, all this bullshit. No, you're the number 1 seed, take 8 and move on. I don't like this choosing your opponent shit.
You text me and you ask me what does the algorithm have for potential points.
Yeah. No, it takes up way too much time that you should be focusing on your team.
I want you to listen to something because I'm going to try something new for this podcast. I want you to listen because I don't want to play this twice. But we have a call-in. All right? Call-in question. Here we go. Let's see if we can listen to this.
Hi, Tex. This is Allison from Pittsburgh. I'm just curious, who is playing your Percy Harvin role this year? Thank you.
Yeah, it's an important role for me. It's always has been. It's that kind of kick returner, punt returner, slot receiver, jack of all trades. Truth discovered Percy Harvin. I think he wrote into both those titles. It's just, and then my first title, he came up big with a 50-burger in one of the playoff games. And then I had success finding Tyler Lockett. And this week, or maybe it was last week, we were able to trade for Tyler Lockett to fill that Percy Harvin role. You look at Deebo Samuel, you look at, some of those kind of hybrid running back, kick returner, the Swiss Army knives. It's just, it's a position that I look to fill. I missed it in the draft. I was really hoping that the San Francisco running back wide receiver would fall to me in round 2. He didn't. He went earlier than I thought. But yeah, no, the Percy Harvin role is an important one, I think, for the composition. He doesn't have to start, right? But you could put him in a running back. You could put him in a wide receiver. He returns kicks. He does the little things that just add up points. You're never going to get a 0 because he's involved in the offense. And Percy Harvin did it like nobody. But Lockett's right there too.
So just for the audience, if you want to leave a voicemail, we'll get it in for any of the audience or on any of the participation, the people that we have guests on the show. So leave a voicemail for me, call in. We'll have a live studio audience one time, but I look forward to making sure more of these happen. So back to you, Terry, if you have any further questions before we get to some of these other things.
he gets it. He delivered. Yeah, no, it's an honor, really. It's nothing more than that. I mean, to say you're filling the Percy Harvin, well, that's as good as it gets, right? That's like Dick Butkus at linebacker. Quite an honor, and yeah, he's back, and we're excited. We're really excited to have Percy Harvin back. I had to overpay, give up a defender I didn't want to give up. I texted Truth earlier in the week and said, what's going to take to get my mascot back? I obviously threw out a quarterback. You can't win with that shit of David Carr. All those picks add up. And then he got aggressive asking for my Jacksonville linebacker, and I said, eh. And he went on to Wagner, and I said, eh. I said, but I offered him my other rookies, didn't want that. And then we settled on Pete Warner, who's just having a breakout year. And that's a good role for him. And I heard him last week talking about just okay, which I thought was a really good take. So
Absolutely.
We found a way to make that happen. I really didn't want to give up Pete Warner and his 18 points a game, but when you get a chance to get Percy Harvin, you go all in. Like who? You don't find a two-time reigning league MVP off the wire. You just don't.
You sound bitter.
He's one of the 10 best quarterbacks ever to play, coming off back-to-back MVP seasons. And he doesn't throw picks. He's perfect for this league. I mean, it's a huge upgrade over David Carr. I mean, so that fills the role. And now I'm scared. Now it's going to come back to haunt me. And I think you're going to see Truth go on a quite a nice run here with that receiving group that we talked about, a reinforced defense, and and quarterback stability. I thought it was a great move. I probably shouldn't have given up so much, but like I said, when you get a chance to get Percy Harvin, you go all in.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I did. He's coming off some high target games. I'm still kind of working through these rookie running backs, these second-year running backs, trying to find a flow. Jerk Wilson Jr. What's the role there? So, I'm not getting much production from the Colts receiver. Gabe Davis is hurt, so we're just trying to piece it together with a solid D, solid quarterback play, and Cooper Kupp. Yeah, it took winning a championship after 10 years in the desert to really kind of appreciate the moment. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's
No,
awesome. Hey, what was the year? Remind me of my back years. Was that 2013, 2014? Boy, those 2013, 2014 with the Ray Rices. Hey, and does that guy in Baltimore look just like Ray Rice or what? He's wearing his old. Who is it? Who is that guy? I saw him on the red zone. I'm like, fucking Ray Rice is back. Back! He's back.
no way. Not with that
Yeah,
left
take a
hand.
look. He's running the ball for Baltimore, and he's got the same number, same size. It's wild. You know, I
Is
bet
it
he is. I bet he is. I mean, it's a really shame because I had a lot of Ray Rice gear. Um, and my wife gets on me quite a bit for buying a little too much swag, exceeding my marketing budget. But to have to dump all that Ray Rice stuff it was tough. But yeah, rightfully, yeah, yeah. If I don't, yeah, I do. I've learned my lesson. Yeah, she's not a big fan of Zeke, which is good because um, I'm tempted. How close do we start picking up this Deshaun Watson guy? You know, I looked at it today. I mean, you're still 8 weeks out, so and that's just too much. We got to get through the buys. You got but that's yeah. And with these, I mean, the buys now are so spread out. I mean, I looked at it today. I'm 7, 9, and 11 are like my tough ones. I think I could make it through. I don't have one of those Bimageddons, where everybody's out. But um, yeah, that's one guy I would think that I'd have a hard time just kind of looking at. Ray Rice was another one. I mean, that stuff kind of got removed pretty quickly from our house.
So is there a guy that you, it's like the gray zone of, it's not necessarily punching a girl in the elevator. So is Quincy like with the Coke in training camp? Where's it, what's the gray zone there for you?
I think it's kind of like the Jimmy Johnson philosophy. If you're a shitty player, there is no gray zone. You're out. If you're Michael Irvin, okay. We're going to cut you some slack.
But if you win Tex 2 titles, do you still have a little Ray Rice love somewhere?
Yeah, that's why I caught my eye. I was so blown away. I got really excited. I found myself like jumping out of my seat. I'm like, who is this? What the heck is going on? And it was on red zone, so that they cut out really quickly, so you didn't quite get it. But if you take a look, I don't even know who it is, but
So
half of me
you,
wants to go get
you have a
them.
little Ray Rice bobblehead that Angelique doesn't know about, stuffed
No,
away.
all that went away. All went away.
Okay,
And my favorite were the "Hey Diddle Diddle Ray Rice" at the middle purple shirts. They had hats, they had the whole thing.
right to
I even
Goodwill.
sent one to George one time because he was the recipient of that weirdest play in the history of whatever we're calling this league. Not just beat him. All they had to do was take a knee. He had he had 2 yards all game long, and somehow they just they do a draw play and he goes up the
Again,
middle for 35.
the
I just needed 12 points that whole game, and it was just oh man. Yeah.
the I know I said this in the past. The post, the
Oh, I know.
pure gold that he posted after that was fantastic. It's
I've
one of the
gone
best.
back and looked for that multiple times. I mean, he had it down to the defensive tackles and what the penetration, and I still can't find it. I wish I would have saved that. That was just
It was
oh
yeah.
yeah.
Afterwards,
He broke down the whole game, the whole play.
I tend to be a little bit dramatic with this stuff, so it's bad. Hey, can we get into some of the weak stuff?
Sure.
So Davis is one, and Jake and Josh being the other.
And I beat Truth. I beat Pimps with Roddy White. That was I don't know which two I liked better. And then I think the third one was George. I've lost two. I lost one early on, which was like before the cell phone, and he swapped out Brett Favre for Donovan McNabb in a snow game and went on to beat me. And then I lost that heartbreaker in 2016, I guess.
I will. The stat master will go look at some of that. I'll find out who
Yeah, you can dig that up. I don't
number
recall.
twos.
So 5, 3-2 in finals, which doesn't get it, which isn't good enough. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. So hardest schedule this year so far by points against. Truth
Of
has the
course.
hardest schedule. He's played the easiest schedule so far. Still is Shiz. We did get a new smallest margin of victory this week. Dog. Most points in a week was this week.
Huh.
Single week. You see that, Eric? Man love.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that, no.
His first win, he almost doubled.
Mike Williams, Joe Mixon, Devontae Smith. No. Rashad Penny. How the fuck did
Rashad
you start
Penny.
Rashad Penny?
How do you start that?
Jewel, Crowder, and then he had Crowder. You needed some points for Crowder last week. Fred Warner, Edmonds. Yeah, Penny's the thing. Henry with a 40 spot. Yeah. That's wow. I didn't know that. So yeah, I think we get $100 for high score, right?
That's right. He so far 342 is what you're going for. The least amount of offensive points this week.
Knights.
92. No, dog. Just the opposite.
And he squeaked one out. Wow.
He squeaked one out. 92 points, and then
he's 3-1 with 982 points. 4. That's crazy.
Yeah. The least amount of passing yards.
You look at Truth at 1-3, and he's got over 1,100 yards. So I mean, or 1,100 points.
So the least amount of passing yards was Chaos with 144, and the most amount of receiving yards was Truth at 491. So
his receivers are ridiculous. I'm getting ready for a beating this week. And he's a great manager too. He's not going to make mistakes on game day. But when you stack that with this roster, it's I don't know.
You can't do this what you're doing to him because he did it to you last week with the double hex already going to win. He called you an undefeated champion. We're all playing for second last week. So he's already conceded this week before you conceded this week.
Well, I mean, look at it honestly. I went through his top 4 receivers. I mean, is that the best in the league? I mean, I don't think there's anything close to that.
When you're the first place, you're the first place for a reason, Eric. So
yeah, that's true. Well, right. But, I mean, yeah.
And
quarterback play helps. And Wagner is just a winner.
Do you think, and this is a question for both you guys, that Truth, he lost a little bit of a heartbreaker this week. Do you think that he got any bad karma for dropping Tua after what happened to him? Tua gets this and he doesn't hold him for a little. He just drops him and picks somebody else up, and that happened on Thursday. And he drops him, and he's able to pick somebody else up. I think it's karma that got him this week because of that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just think he ran into a buzzsaw. I mean, 326, so that's hard to beat. And then what did Hawkinson go for? I mean, that's what. I mean, let me look at this. 54 from Tyreek Hill, and 42 from Eckler, and 36 from Chubb. Oh, it's not. No, he didn't have Hawkinson, huh? He just ran into a buzzsaw. That's all it is.
You don't run into a buzzsaw. You're tempting fate in the football gods when you do something so callous, is what he did.
Well, and you also start David Carr. Like I said, I don't think you can win with David Carr and it's 21 completions for 188 yards. In this league, that's going to get you killed. Tom Brady went for 65. I mean, somehow he in a loss he put up 385 points. Yeah, so I really think the quarterback play, and that's wrong. Where you're drafting Allen Robinson over Pat Mahomes. I mean, that's tough. I mean, yeah.
I was That's right. I didn't.
There's a Sports Illustrated curse.
There's yours.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yes.
know that. Huh. Huh. Well, there's only been two, right? So the data's not great, but yeah. Well, remind me not to come on again if I lose this week.
Do you have any questions for us? Is there something that you'd like to bring up or anything that you need to get off your chest for us at all?
No, when I did some reflection pretty deeply this year, and so I'm just gonna, I got a little too into the weeds the last few years, so I'm just letting everything roll off my shoulders and taking a long approach. I think I burnt out last year. So no, we're just rolling. I appreciate the podcast. That's been a fun listen. I'm glad we're kind of figuring it out as we go, and I applaud you for getting us off the ground.
Thanks. I'm going to take that, but I thought it would be something different. But I just think about the Tua. Terry, you got anything on Tua there? Yeah, and I think that comes back to you. I think that there's you need to be a little bit, just even for a day, put him on the IR and then he let him go before the week was out. I think there's just some bad.
He traded for the two-time MVP is what he did. Now, question: Do you do you go out and get Teddy Two Gloves? Is he a hot waiver commodity this week?
I tried. I looked for him, and until he changes his profile picture, I'm not picking him up. It's the worst profile picture of all time. Have you seen that, Eric?
No.
Let's get your hot take reaction. Go to Teddy Two Gloves and check out that picture. I can't have that on my team.
On Yahoo.
Yes.
All right, keep talking while I'm going through this.
I can't. I don't know how to fill any of this up with dead air, but
there was a guy on the Packers that I saw was named Benjamin Franklin.
no way. We have a Ben.
Maybe it wasn't the
not see
Packers. Oh yeah, that's a weird picture. He looks like he's the Night Stalker. Yeah.
It does. It's not a good look, and so I wouldn't. And I like Teddy Bridgewater. I like his when he was up in Minnesota.
He's a pro, right?
He's a good human being. The fact that he had a knee blowout and came through that, everything about him seems to be a great dude. And I'm so shallow of a human being as I go and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I need to do something at the quarterback. I'm ready to cut Kirk Cousins, cut him loose completely. And so I'm like, Teddy Bridgewater, I can. Whoa.
Yeah, I think you got to put that behind you. And just whoever can make you win. Not everybody is Gazelle.
So if I thought that he was such an upgrade, like if he was doing something so great and unbelievable, I would look past that. But it's like you're mediocre.
But he's got those two receivers. And, I do have a question. I heard it come up on last night's podcast. I've been hanging on to this desperation tight end from New Orleans. And you guys didn't seem like that's the right thing to do. What was his name?
Taysom Hill.
Tricky Taysom. Yeah, Taysom the Trick. Yeah. So you don't – would you drop him tonight for a waiver claim?
So I said you didn't have the stones, kind of, to start him. And then you automatically put him in your starting lineup. And I'm like, call me on it. And you couldn't do it. You put him back on your bench and you put Ertz, my ball Zach Ertz, back in because it's the right thing to do. he'll never play for you. He'll never play for you.
I hated the pick the second it happened. I took him over X Edwards-Helaire. But Ertz has been every time it's just like, target, fall down, 7 times a game. And then he did a little crossing route, got in the end zone. I mean, he's the 4th rated tight end in this league right now. I would love to deal him, but you can't.
No, you can't.
I mean, and that's all you want out of a tight end, right? There's maybe 2 or 3 of them. And then, you find a Zach Ertz, and he's going to be part of this. I mean, he's 32, maybe 30. I mean, he's not that old. And I think they look for him. So, that's one of my things that I'm going to be looking for in the coming weeks is to figure out what I want to do with Zach Ertz. Do I make a move and package up? But who's out there? I mean, that's the thing. Okay.
Do you want Allen Robinson? So Ertz is the 5th tight end right now, not the 4th.
Did Hawkinson jump him obviously after that monster performance? So who are the top 4? I can pull it up.
Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, Higbee.
Higbee. Oh, okay. So I must have looked at that yesterday. Higbee had a nice performance last night too, right? Wait, Truce got Higbee too?
Yeah.
Fuck. God damn.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll be the first. I said it yesterday, and I believe it. Either McVay or Stafford's racist because all they do is throw it to the white guys. The black receiver, Allen Robinson, was open a lot more in the first
I
half.
wouldn't go there. I think Allen Robinson was done last year. He was done. It's just he just fell off a cliff. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, I think that scouting department really prioritized him, gave him $15 million a year. It's no.
Listen, the Chicago offense was not creative. If people can design plays for Allen Lazard to get open, they could design plays for Allen Robinson to get open.
But what if he can't run? What if he can't
run? It's not that they're racist. I'm saying it, and that's it. Stafford hates black people. That's all it is.
I just think he's a bad player. They were talking him up a lot. I even heard one commentator in the preseason said he's going to lead the league in receiving yards. I mean, he had a great camp and was going crazy. But, it's not the case. I mean, that turned out to be that's a tough 3rd-round pick. I mentioned to you that I would trade for him, but, I don't think that you can even roster him at this point. I mean, he's got to buy in 2 weeks. And what's the upside? A 10-point game? A touchdown catch?
Dog had a potential trade. I was actually working today, so I didn't see it until the end of the day that I would have taken that he declined afterwards.
What was the? Do you mind me asking the deal?
Sure, let's look at this. But it was. I'll look on my phone, but it was something that I would take. I would have. It was
Pollard, Josh Reynolds, Darrell Henderson, Tyler Algier.
Algier, yes. I was going to go with Algier.
I'd swipe that in a heartbeat.
Well, I would have taken it, but he didn't let it happen. So
yeah, he put it out there, and that's why you got to be quick to the draw sometimes. People make mistakes, and for me, it's generally late at night when I'm drinking. I regret it, but in the morning, sometimes I'll get up in the middle of the night and go, fuck, did I really, really offer that? And go back and check. And, I kind of had that with the Chad deal last night. What do you think of what do you think of that one, Ron? Because you're pretty close to that team, playing that inside linebacker spot as a rookie.
I
Quay
didn't. I
Walker
didn't
out of
see. I
Georgia.
didn't see your trade. Sorry.
Quay Walker for Zaven Collins. I mean, the stats are identical, both taken in the same round of the draft. Quay Walker, what's your take on him?
Quay Walker is good sideline to sideline right now, but he's like Edwards. You put a body on him, he can't seem to shed a tackle, or a tackler or a lineman can't seem to shed it. If you're going side to side, it's really good. I think Campbell is the guy who's going to get most of the tackles, and unless you're playing a run-heavy team, you're not going to get the production out of Quay Walker that you will. Zaven Collins seems like he's been a product of a couple different bad matchups, and for me, I put Collins a tick ahead of Walker, in my humble opinion.
Yeah,
Plus, he also
that's,
plays like a
that's,
safety.
that's kind of what I thought too. And what I learned from the kid in New Orleans that I traded away was this year too. Maybe next year Quay Walker's ready to take that step, but it was a dead even trade, and I just figured I could offer up. I draft Packer players on purpose.
So are you done? Are you completely out of the Packer business?
Packer business. I know.
Anything you need me to tell the Dallas Cowboys as I go up to the best stadium in the league, Lambeau Field, to watch Jerry's team play November?
Hey, when are they doing that?
I want to say it's the 3rd, the 9th, something like that. In November, I'll be up there to watch the game.
Cooper Rush, you get a fresh glance at the.
Oh no, it'll be Dakota.
I don't know. I mean, if Rush wins this week against the Rams, and then their next game's Philadelphia, I mean, Lord help me if he wins both those. Shit, I mean, you're talking Moses parting the seas at this point.
Yeah, you're branding him with the star right here. He's forever. Maybe you can get your first Cooper Rush tattoo.
I don't have any tattoos. I'm not interested in tattoos, but I am going to get my ear pierced. I wanted to do that for 40 years. My dad said he'd rip my earlobe out if I did it, but I'm ready. I think it's time for my midlife crisis, my second midlife crisis, and I'm going to go all jewelry. That's my new thing. If I win this year, I've already chosen the jewelry, and we're starting with an earring in December.
And would it be the number 4 to signify your 4 fantasy championships?
Oh, shit. Man, if we could finish this is the year, right? It has to be. I mean, you have to finish this. I mean,
it's a quarter into the season. Into the season. Let's not.
Yeah, but it started with the Jubilee. You got the draft right. You didn't make the mistakes. You got off to a hot start. You're going to be in the tournament.
When you say a hot start, do you mean the draft?
No, just getting off to a full, I always think the first win's the hardest to get, right? You get off the schneid. Otherwise, 1-0, then 0-1, and 0-2. But the other way, you could take a flyer into Deshaun Watson, and you're in the tournament. What do you think it's going to take? 7 wins now to get in? Is that what it was last year? Do you remember?
7 usually does it.
Yeah, I think 7.
It was close to. Was it close to 8 though? You definitely need 7. Sometimes 6.
Yeah, I think with this added game, I think you're going to need 8 wins. 8 wins or 7 wins in points. We'll see. But yeah, I think once you get off to a hot start, 4-0. You can qualify as a hot start. I don't think even 4-1. Heading into to the week 6.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, I think that's a hot start.
Eric, so one of the moves that you like to do, which I think is funny, is when you show up to the draft, and kind of talked about this a little bit last week, but you walk around with those 3 rings on your hand, and you keep trying to get us to shape your mitt. How often do you wear those 3 rings around, when we're not around? Do you wear them to your fiesta stuff? Are you wearing them on the parade routes? How often are you rocking those 3 rings?
Occasionally. I don't know if you know this, but I was on the parade this year, and and I busted my pinky finger. Dislocated it. There was actually a fracture, and it's still very swollen. So I can't wear my ring. So I didn't wear them to the draft, but the draft was a fun thing. We kind of pissed around a little bit but we went to the sweat box, right? We scouted it out. We went to the sweat box. I love it. And Santa Barbara doesn't get above 75. It just doesn't. And somehow we got this heat wave. It literally checked out to 103. But so we beat down the doors. They opened at 11. We beat down the doors. So I get set up, and I set myself up in the corner, which was pretty good. It turned out to be very fortuitous. The back turned to everybody, and then I had to hit a grass off of Drew's little.
A
What are
one
those things called?
a pen.
They're not like joints like we used to smoke in the day. They're like these little tubes. You press a little lever and it like moderates it and takes out all the smoke. And it's the weirdest
It's not a
thing.
Pope. It's not a Pope.
No, it's not the Pope. It's
No.
like this like vape thing. It's weird. Like so fucking big. And so I'm sitting there like, oh my God, draft's about to start. Can I even pull this off? And so I got a couple tall Coors Lights and parked myself in the corner, and it forced me to focus. It forced me to focus. And so, I had Cooper Kupp. Thank God, because we had talked about that the night before. If I was going to pivot, I mean, when McCaffrey went 1, we were just like, whoa, no way. We thought for sure Jonathan Taylor. So I am just so thankful I didn't move off of my top pick. And then it came to round 2, and I had 4 players on the board. One was Javonte Williams, one was Josh Allen, one was Mike Evans, and the other one was Michael Pittman. So I said, who's the best player of the bunch, from a football standpoint? And I can't believe I was thinking like this. And so I said, Josh Allen's going to be the MVP of the league this year. So I take him, and I'll take whatever ones that fall to me. So Javonte Williams, Mike Evans went next, and so then I moved on to Pittman. So that's how that unfolded, and then I had Gabe Davis and Pierce rated pretty high, probably higher than most. So it felt right. It felt right.
Did you ever ask Hal who you should pick?
No, he came up to me really early. The funny thing is, Heather was texting Mark that they're actually on their way. They're actually on their way, and so Mark's panicked. I mean, just the look on his face was like he saw a ghost. And the whole night before, we're trying to talk, Kitty, you're being punked. You're not doing it. Laura was all in her grill. Goes, Kitty, you're crazy. What are you thinking you're going to do there? You have a cell phone. Do you have access to his account? How are you going to do the draft? I mean, do you even, do you know what the internet is? And so, and she had no idea. She didn't have a tablet with her. She didn't have a smartphone.
All she had to do is say, "This is who I'm taking." That's it.
So Eric, you're a superstitious guy. Do you think that Ron's team and so far his season has reflected anything?
Totally. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Totally. I mean, you can't deny that. That was weird. And so so they walked in. I think it was after the first round. So, and it was right before my second and third turn. And I just looked at Hal straight in the eye because that clear is kind. That's one of my things I say. And Hal, this is my draft. I'm not talking to you. It's important to me. So unfortunately, I was in the back. I could send you shots. To my right was Truth and Puss, and the dog's always walking around. Because he's nervous. He's spitting and smoking and drinking. So. And Mark, being the nice guy he is, kind of engaged with them, and I could kind of see this shit going on, but my back was turned, and I was just, so baked and just focused in this corner. It actually turned out well. So I think moving forward, I'm going to find some grass and a corner in a sweat box, and I think that's the key to my draft.
You're going to be drafting from a sauna, doing combos.
It's been months, if not a year, since probably since where the
I heard
man
from
loves
everybody in the family. Everybody in the family.
Terry.
Like, everybody was enjoying themselves, but Eric was just it's kind of strange. He was tucked into a corner, ignoring everybody with his back turned. So that's how I heard it too.
Yeah, dead focus. I mean, half of it was me just trying to hold on to this, and the other half of me was processing it. And
Was there any
it
part of
actually
you that had cobwebs from the night before?
say that again.
I heard you singing the night
Yeah,
before at like midnight at Holiday Hill.
yeah.
Was there a part of you that was still processing the cobwebs from the night before?
No, 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 no. I was coming off a high. That was a fun night. The family hung out afterwards, and we had kind of that circle to 2 a.m. They were trying to get me to have gummies all night long. You know how Truth does?
Yes.
And finally, after a majority of the people left, I did have a gummy. And this is not my style. I'm a mature 52-year-old or 51-year-old man. And so, no, I was in my zone. It was a fun night. I was just, and then Dog shows up in the limo in the morning, and we're rolling. No, I didn't have cobwebs. I think yeah, whatever that shit that True smokes is just, wow, man. Yeah, it's not like the grass that you could cut in,
Did
70s.
did it make you forget
Yeah,
how old
so
you are?
you're
Eric?
saying
Do you know how old you are?
No, I judge myself by fantasy titles at this point. So, I'm three,
I think you just got your age wrong
4.
again.
I, I may I may want to just put an asterisk by this because it seems as if you may have been under the influence of performing enhancing drugs when you drafted that may have given you an unfair advantage over the rest of us.
If you think that's unfair, I'm fine. I mean, you could lobby that complaint, but I'm pretty sure that goes back a long time in this league. I think Puss is pretty clean. I think he drove back later that night. My back was completely turned to everybody. So, but I didn't hear that conversation at all. I didn't. There's two pieces of advice that Puss and I went back and forth. It was at that defensive turn. It was around 6 or 7, and I go, Puss, I've got Derwin James or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I'm all, what would you do? And he goes, definitely take Derwin James. I know the Browns. He's in and out. He's just not that superstar. So that was one thing. And then he
just okay.
Yeah, just okay. And now I got him back as my 5th linebacker, which is fine. And then he was also very high on Travis Etienne. He wanted to go Etienne around higher. And I can look.
Are you and Puss colluding on the draft? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I mean you're there, right? I mean it's like what's going on. I heard him going, "Oh, Etienne's there." I
don't like this. I don't like this performance enhancing drugs and collusion.
So what did he take?
Smoke screens?
No. I've got a good enough relationship where I'll tell him the truth. So he actually ended up with his guy. They always takes Deontay Johnson, but then Etienne falls to me, at the end of 4, and I jumped on that. He looks explosive. He looks great, but and then the great truth comes back with Christian Kirk a few picks later and just knocks it out of the park. So yeah, that's what I'm going to have to kind of overcome at some point.
So let's. It's a good question.
No, but
question.
I think the gods rewarded him for coming out and making the effort, and we had some time to break down some tape, and it helped. I just think he's the best manager going in the game, and I think that's that's just par for the course.
So, Terry, after looking at this objectively, the Texan Truth does have the game of the week. Who are you taking this week for that? Who do you got to win this one? I'm taking Eric.
Yes, they're spot on every week. Spot on, and they have been for 2 decades.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. I mean, Pierce, Ertz, Gabe Davis, Tyler Lockett. I mean, then you're looking at
Craig,
Arnold,
Craig
Samuel,
Davis.
Kurt, Jefferson, Fournette, Higby. Who? It's just oh yeah, I do too. Well, the
Oh,
big thing is I didn't go defense in round 5. I was looking at Jordan Brooks. It would have cost me Gabe Davis, but I just figured, you know, you can find a New Orleans linebacker later in the draft. That was one of the self scouting things I did. Is I've been going defense way too early for years now, and yeah, these flexes are so hard to find. I mean, they're so hard to find.
all right. It's the hardest schedule, like I said earlier.
That quarterback,
Hard schedule too.
When you're starting David Carr and his 4 picks and his 150 yards,
You already got his quarterback. You don't have to sell us anymore. You already have his quarterback. Have we decided on a place for the draft and a time for the draft next year, Eric?
I'm probably going to boycott it. To be 100% honest. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, if does Hal show up, I need to know.
What if he's my proxy?
Poor man. Oh my gosh. I give him kudos. He came out. He was dozing off. I mean, he stayed up to midnight a couple times. So
Oh,
he
I
fell out
got
of
his
the
back.
chair. I overserved him one night, and he wound up on the ground.
Hey guys, I'm getting the battery load on
Okay.
mine. So
What time are we in? How long let's go? Minute 17. Is that really true? We've been
hour
chatting.
17. Yeah, so make sure you hit all the things. I'll chop off the back end of this, but
And thank you guys again for the podcast. This has been cool. I've enjoyed listening to it. It's nice to see that it's kind of moving to a video cast too, which is great. And to everybody, it's really not. I mean, we're in year 3 of Zoom World. I mean, you should test this out, figure it out. Get your audio right, focus on lighting. It's really not that tough. But just a shout out to everybody in the league. This is a hell of a league, and it's a lot of fun. And it's hard to believe we're entering October.